got, Kyle? Specifically, Kyle.
I did a lot.
Specifically, Kyle, we've made it 7 years.
I can't believe I put 10 years into this 7 years.
Now, so here we are. I mean, it is, it's July 5th when this is dropping. Officially our birthday of Horror Movie Nights release. And
It's a better.
That was the Syracuse fight song.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that's a better birthday song than the actual happy birthday song.
I don't know how I knew.
yeah,
that,
here we are. How are you all feeling? 7 years old?
I quit.
I mean, technically we're 8, right?
Yeah, we're starting 8.
Yeah.
But no, so here we are. I mean, as we do at the beginning of these best ofs. I mean, Kyle, it is appropriate for you to be here, though, because you were on more of the year than less of.
Fucking good. This beer is really good.
I'm glad you like it.
So, like, what are some of our memories of year 7?
I'm actually going to go back through our year
Sure.
7 movies because
So it starts in episode 301 with, the best of clips, anyway, are starting at 301 with Don't Panic and going all the way up to 350 with The Lost Boys. That's not the exact time frame, obviously, of our year, but
Don't Panic. Oh, is that the one with the kid in the pajamas?
yeah,
Yeah.
that one was suggested by Josh Dukes.
Yeah.
We're allowed to say last names,
yeah,
right?
especially if it's Josh Dukes.
You can't find a
So
Josh. You can find a Josh Dukes everywhere.
Dude, I've been friends with Josh on Facebook for like
Great suggestion,
5-6
Josh, yeah.
years at this point, and never once saw another Josh Dukes until 2-3 days ago, as of recording.
No
and
kidding.
I was like, that is not the Josh Dukes that I know, because it was somebody that was saying some real hateful shit on a public comment section, and I was like, you are sullying, you are just ruining the name.
You should let those Josh Dukes duke it out.
Yeah.
Wasn't there there was a big thing? Was it the Battle of the Josh? Like there was a big like
they
internet
gathered.
thing,
Yeah,
that, like,
I don't
people
remember if it
named
was
Josh.
Josh.
It was like Josh Smith. It was
Yeah.
like everybody who had the same fucking
Yeah,
name.
it was like they all met in one location and
Yeah.
had like a LARPing level battle to decide who was the keeper of the name.
Yeah,
so
fucking weird.
So the movie that officially kicks off year 7 is episode 308, You're Next, and we just recorded the last episode of year 7, which was Brain Scan.
Yeah.
Our tribute which was our tribute to Aerosmith.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Honking on
speaking of-
Bobo over here.
Speaking of music movies, Vicious Lips finally got to pull that one out
Yeah,
of
you
the
got-
hat this
That
year.
was very fun. That was if not my first official one, that was in the run.
But the
that
thing
was
is
in
that,
the,
like, I don't like
I
this
don't
whole,
know.
like,
Well, I shouldn't
it
say
wasn't
official.
your official because, and I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not poo-pooing anybody. I'm
No.
saying, like, as soon as you signed on,
Yeah.
it felt like you're official.
Oh,
like,
no,
I don't even remember what your
I was
first
gonna
one
say,
that you did was.
That's like
but
Brian pulled that shit for like 2 years where he's like, well, I don't feel like I'm an actual member just yet. And I'm like,
And
you've
looking-
been here longer than
Yeah.
our previous third
Yeah.
co-host.
yeah, like, and Brian, I was going through. I told both of you
Yeah.
before we started recording. I went through and listened to the first 50th, 100th, 150th, and 200th episodes. Just the first couple minutes of each, just to kind of get a sense. I was originally going to do 250 and then 300, and then like continue on, you know, at the intervals. But I just couldn't cut it. But
Yeah.
Brian and Beetlejuice. It seems like so long ago.
I know.
Brian was even there for
He was definitely there for 150
when we
Yeah.
did Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that he was there with John, and it's just crazy to think about how long Brian was on.
Brian was on for
Like-
almost 200 episodes.
Yeah, and never took credit. I think maybe it wasn't credit. Maybe it was responsibility.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, so like it's just funny to think back on. I mean, we've always been who we are on the show, but I think that we've definitely honed our skills.
We've honed our skills, but we also became more open with who we are over the years.
Yeah,
because
big time.
I don't listen to those early episodes.
It's
Because
impossible.
It's me playing the character of what I think a podcast host is supposed to sound
absolutely.
like.
Totally.
And you fall into that vibe. I'll tell you one thing from year 7 that fills me with excitement for the future is listening. Anytime I even think about listening to that Lost Boys episode, like there is going to come a day where Brian's ready to come back on this show, and if that is any indication of what the chaos of the four of us recording
kidding.
together is going to sound like.
That was the easiest recording for me. I just gotta let you guys know. I had to do the least amount of
Oh,
heavy
you just
lifting.
sat back and let Brian and Kyle just go, dude.
I want Brian back so I don't have to do any work.
Which is so funny because Brian does the least
Does the
amount
least
of prep
work,
work.
yeah.
He
No,
didn't even
but
watch the movie before we talked.
That's fine. It's fine. It used to slightly
it well.
frustrate me, but like what?
As long as he
it
brings the
frustra-
funny, it doesn't really
Well,
matter.
it only really frustrated me when he didn't watch May, because that hurts.
No,
that's a
that's
wound
painful.
that I
And
need
it's
to
a
drop
perfect
dead
movie.
Fred
Yeah.
to come and help me with my trauma from that. Brian, if you're not listening, because you're not.
He might check out the best of.
Well, no.
So
I-
wait,
I-
was Nothing But Trouble in year 7? It's episode 302.
So I don't know if I pulled any clips from it, but yes, it was in the contention for the best of.
They had the
episode.
VHS of Nothing But Trouble at the.
And you didn't
store.
buy that?
What?
for
You
Horrifying?
didn't get it? Because
no.
Brian said he wants that as his bag tattoo.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
If
I
that real
should've-
estate on me wasn't already
I
taken,
should have fucking
would.
got it. Yeah, right. Well, just get a cover. Just get it covered. It's
Do you
fine.
have any work on your back?
No, I don't.
You don't understand the pain, then, do you? Because
This
like
was-
it is.
The pain of then living with a Nothing But Trouble tattoo, besides the literal pain
like
of the tattoo itself.
Chevy Chase on your back forever is just something that you. I don't believe in hell, but I feel like if there was a hell,
Oh, somebody with a Chevy Chase back tattoo is down there, or Chevy Chase specifically is down there.
yes.
Oh, okay, both.
Literally both. I imagine that whoever is whipping people
Yeah.
in the lake of fucking fire has a
Yeah.
Nothing But Trouble bag piece.
I told
Brian's already.
I already told Matt what my back tattoo was going to be today, and it's going to be the dancing like hot dog, popcorn, soda from
Yeah.
like the Let's All Go to the Movies. It's going to be each of those, but the hot dog is going to be the tramp stamp of like a straight down, a straight up and down vertical spine tattoo of Let's All Go to the Movies. But then on the front of me, on my clavicles, is going to say "Let's all go right in the center to the movies," and it's just right across the front in that old English like thug life tattoo.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna. I mean, like that tracks, but and I can't tell how much of this is you know, taking a piss, and if it's or how much you.
I pissed my pants while we were talking about this.
Okay, so
it's-
okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're really gonna do the "Let's Go to the Movies," you probably
But-
need to do in the actual script.
Oh,
that
yes,
kind of
the- like
that
the-
googie style, late 50s, early 60s.
And like the little like spotlights around it and
Hell
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Or
that's
you
great.
could-
That's a great. That's
you
a great,
could have the
that's a
tramp
great
stamp
note.
say "Let's go to the poopies."
Oh yeah, I think I want the hot dog actually lower and maybe in my ass crack.
Just slightly. I do need to give shout outs to some of our guest co-hosts that we had.
Hell yes.
So there was a few of them. Bacon came back to talk about
Oh
ginger
my
snaps
God,
with us.
Bacon. That was a great episode.
Let's see who else was there. Scrolling through. Well, Kyle's first dipping his toes in before we made the announcement. He came on to talk about Necropolis.
I
with
was
us.
just thinking about. So it does feel like
You
I've always
picked that, right?
Yes, it does feel like I've sort of always been
Yeah.
here, but I do remember specifically the transition. Like
Yes.
so, I picked Necropolis, and I was like, I can't believe they fucking want me to go back. At all.
Jackie from Jersey Ghouls joined us
Sleepaway
to
Camp
talk about
3.
Sleepaway Camp 3.
Oh yeah.
Gelsey Laurie joined us to talk about Piranha.
That was her pick too, by the way.
That was her pick. And then I think that was the... Oh, no.
Well, no, you had the-
Nate joined us to talk about In the Mouth of
Yeah,
Madness.
that was a good episode.
Ashley Victoria Robinson joined us to talk about The Covenant.
That was a great episode.
that's
Terrible watch.
Great fucking episode.
And
though.
then
I love that episode.
yes, that is the last one, is Cabin Fever with Eric J. Brown.
Great I mean, I thought that was a great conversation. I would love to go back and listen to that. I don't think that I actually listened to the episode because I just wanted to talk to him about writing books.
Yeah.
You know, and I really need to ask him.
And
more
if you're
questions.
not on the Patreon page, there was a really good conversation between Scott and Eric just about writing that was released as a bonus.
I need to listen to that too.
Yeah, that was... I
You
mean,
on the Patreon?
yeah.
I mean, little
a-
wizard behind the
there's a
curtain.
host
Matt set
feed.
it up that we get to hear the Patreon if we want. And
Yeah.
it's, it's sick.
It took me 4 years to figure out that link, but I
Honestly, that seemed kind of fucking complicated. I don't blame
They
you.
don't want
That's
to
the
give.
thing.
They
That's
don't
the
want
whole
you
thing.
giving it out for free, man.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Even to the
to the people that are creating it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's one person.
I'm trying to see what episode Matt might know, like the maniac he is. What episode was American Gothic?
That was a while back.
I know it was a long
That
time ago.
was-
I want to know the number.
I would say it was probably around 130.
Oh,
Like 130, 129, because that was when we were testing out co-hosts.
127.
Shortly, there we go. Say
120.
127.
127. Because
you picked that, right?
no,
No,
so
you
here's
picked
what
it.
happened.
But the first one I was
we
on.
needed
Yes.
we needed a third co-host, and we started having different people come on and guest. And the reality of this, I don't even know if Kyle knows this. Maybe he knows this. It came down to we were like, I don't know, Kyle's really good and Brian's really good, and we didn't know which one we wanted. So we started having both of them on for a couple episodes. And American Gothic was just Kyle.
Yeah.
But Sleepwalkers
Oh my
and
god.
Uninvited was Kyle and Brian.
Those fucking
And I
movies are
and I
so
think it
fun.
literally came down to like, oh, like Kyle's got his own thing going on with the film, and we're like, well, we don't want to like hone in on that.
Yeah, we didn't want to step on your toes.
Right.
And we're like, and Brian doesn't do shit. So-
And
Which is ironic.
And now, yeah, like
How
I
the
mean,
tables have
dude,
turned.
like Brian is fucking busy, man.
I
And-
think that you're a little busy too. You
I-
did just come out with a short, and you did just come out with a baby.
yes, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
well, the
but
baby's a year old.
This is true, but I think
Just.
Well, I think, but that's the thing is that like Brian is working his ass off in a craft that I do a different thing on.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But
It's
here,
like-
I mean,
and so movie watching is like, I mean, not that Brian obviously. Well, no, he doesn't watch that. He doesn't watch.
he doesn't.
Movies.
So his problem,
Which is hilarious.
Here's the thing, Brian is working. So the people who are wondering what's going on with Brian,
I mean that with love.
the
Brian.
the simplest way to put it is that Brian is basically taking this gamble where he is basically just not having a life for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
But if this gamble pays off, he will have steady income regardless on if he's working or not
Yeah.
from the investment that he's putting into. So that's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, if this works out, like I can fucking go to whatever convention you guys want me to go to. I can like,
Yeah.
you know,
Can and will are two very
Can and
different
will,
things.
but he
because
will-
of the four of us, Brian is the most agoraphobic, which is crazy because he and I are neck and neck, my friends. What's the colloquialism for Coke that we're going to use? Because like we got the weed colloquialism
Oh, yeah.
down,
so,
but
so something that's like no, that's not gonna work because that's too long.
I'm trying
of
to
a
think
thing.
like pretzels because
I'm
of the
trying to
white
think
thing
of
on
like a
pretzel
caffeinated.
rod.
I'm trying to think of like a caffeinated thing, but it's like espresso covered
Yeah.
fucking almonds. It's like no espresso.
You could have
then-
chocolate espresso.
Oh well,
beans.
you could fucking raisinets feels like
Ugh. Oh God.
So-
yeah.
No one's eating. Well, I mean, I guess that they're. You could
Cocaine is really passe now. So
Yeah.
raisinets are
well, I
Bunch
mean,
of
you don't
crunch
live in LA anymore,
no,
so you
I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Right.
we need a colloquialism for cocaine because
We'll work
you
on that.
need. Well, we also don't
do
do
cocaine.
so there's not really a.
Yeah, we're really ignorant to what cocaine, even the snack that cocaine could be assigned. We're really
Oh,
ignorant.
hold on a
to
second.
it.
We need to
Pretzel-
talk-
Honestly, pretzel rods is fucking fine.
Okay, because the white.
yeah,
Salt on the outside.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so the few things I want to tackle real quick because eventually we do have to play these clips or people are just going to
shit.
stop
Yeah,
listening
okay.
to us. So I was going to say, what movie did you watch this year that you had never seen before that really won you over? I just scrolled through and besides Vicious Lips, which we already called out, I'd seen everything prior.
You'd seen Don't Panic.
Oh no,
Don't
you're-
Panic is 301.
Sorry,
that was
I forgot to count that. Yes, so Don't Panic was probably my favorite one that I had never seen before. But we
so stupid.
But as I'm scrolling through these, we have to talk about probably the episode that has gotten us the most emails when Kyle watched the wrong Metamorphosis.
Phenomenal.
The amount of
That was
people
so
who
great.
have messaged and been like, that is my favorite episode of the podcast.
That's
They're not
very
suggesting we
sweet.
ever do that again.
Yeah.
I feel like the
It's very
stars just had to
charming.
align.
Dude, my favorite line is when we're talking about the movie. Kyle realizes it, and I'm like, "Dude, it's fine." And he very sincere. He's like, "No, seriously, just give me like 80 minutes, and I'll be ready."
Yeah, man.
I mean, like, look, I had an assignment. I turned in the wrong assignment.
But
and
I
felt
kind of
bad
want
about it.
to watch your stupid Metamorphosis because you shared a
I
photo of
wanna
the
watch
lizard at the end,
yours.
and I was like, "Wow."
And I want to watch yours, man.
This is the thing: is that the problem with that Metamorphosis is that it's probably relying very heavily upon the third act.
Yeah.
And as we were discussing earlier on today,
Yeah.
maybe that was not on the air, but we've discussed how if I think that if the first act and the third act are fine, it can sag in the middle. But I don't think that the first act is good. I gotta say, I mean, I'd never seen Funny Man on Acropolis, and I hadn't seen Don't Panic.
Yeah.
And of those three, I gotta go with Don't Panic, just because it's such a comedy of errors.
It's what you look for in a So Bad It's Good movie. It's the same elements that make like Last Shark something that we love so much. Is like every step is wrong.
Yes,
like there's not a
exactly.
single decision that they made that was the correct decision for that film.
None. I think, well, so as any listeners picked up by now, I truly haven't seen
A lot of movies,
of
yeah. I
fucking
guess
what we
just
get
what
to.
movie did you enjoy? This?
I mean, Event Horizon was one of those ones like. It was like a finally sort of thing, right? Like I really enjoyed watching Event Horizon, but I think Meet the Applegates really fucking blew me away, dude.
You did mention that you had recommended it to multiple people.
I still think about scenes from that movie frequently, even though we've watched a ton of shit since then. It feels like, but Meet
you
the
gotta make him
Applegates.
watch Bugged now.
Yeah, so the one
I'll
Is-
watch
that
anything.
Trauma?
that Trauma distribute it, but not
It's
financed.
basically trauma.
No, but I think those two for me were. I mean, I've had fun on every episode. This has just been such a joy. It's been such a nice addition, like because you're like shit has happened. Like the short and my son being born and like momentum is moving and my life is moving in a totally different way that I didn't know how I was going to adjust my lifestyle, which up until like having my son was fucking watching movies with Carly and like like it's just a different pacing, right? And I was like I didn't know how I was going to like reintroduce that into my life. So like you guys asking me to even just guest on an episode has always been really special.
He's too nice. We should get a new third.
No, I love this.
No, it's been really fun.
I love
guys.
this
I'm
guy.
quitting.
No,
but no, this whole journey has been really. It's one of my favorite things to look forward to every Wednesday. Right now, Wednesday nights is
love
talking
that.
to you guys.
The only other thing I want to say, because I was looking at the list, is I feel like most of us kind of fall into the category of after you watch a movie, you're like, all right, I don't need to revisit that for another year or two.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the movies that we've covered this year. Is there anyone where it's like, you know what, I could rewatch that again right now and I wouldn't be upset? And the one that I landed on, and Kyle, I think Kyle may agree with this. I don't know where Scott's going to fall. I could put on Pledge Night right the fuck now and be pretty content throwing that back
I
on.
can't agree with that because
Yeah.
I watched Pledge Night less than a year before we discussed it.
Yeah.
So I'd actually
You had
watched
actually
it twice
seen it
within
twice.
a calendar year.
And a big part of that for me is just literally that Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray just looks so fucking good.
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about maybe movies that aren't like not the obvious, like In the Mouth of Madness, obviously you guys,
Yeah,
but,
super
like,
easy to
so
watch that
like
movie over
I
and
mean,
over again.
Pledge Night is up there. I mean, I'll watch Hell World anytime you tell me to.
I feel like I could easily rewatch Hell World right now.
Yeah, I
And
know.
that's only been, 2 months?
2 months. I could probably throw on Hell World.
But that's also because I'd never seen it before.
So
I kind of would want to watch Dead Silence again, but it's because of that thing that we talked about on the episode where it's like I want to watch it with somebody who like
hadn't seen it
doesn't
before.
know that, and I did not know that.
Dead,
the end
Dead
of it is that.
Silence. I said this a million times in the episode. Dead Silence has so much stuff that works for it. It's
Yeah.
just a bummer that the stuff that doesn't is
Is
so
so,
glaring
yeah.
and in your face.
Right.
All right. Well,
Right.
guys, that was our little
We
preamble.
gotta go.
Yeah, that's the preamble. We'll here's some clips. I don't know what else to say.
Thanks for sticking with us for this long.
Oh yeah, I guess that too.
Yes.
If you like music and you like podcasts and you like to laugh and you like to learn, you need to immediately subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we dive deep into the story and back catalog of a one-hit wonder band or artist. From there, we have a good, healthy discussion as to whether they brought the one-hit thunder or were nothing more than a one-hit
Wonder.
We have a huge back catalog, and we've done episodes on everything from Don't Worry, Be Happy and the Macarena to King of Wishful Thinking and Cumbersome. I promise you're going to love the show more than Jaquan loved getting tipsy, and even more than Bobby Boris Pickett loved making alternate versions of the Monster Mash. Subscribe to One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's the problem with me. And Brian, you can maybe back this up a little bit.
How much time we got today?
but my first exposure to horror stuff really was Scream, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I watched Scream, I was like, I want to be Randy. So, like, my vision of watching a horror movie is like 40 people in a living room while you're monologuing to them.
That explains so much about you and the reason why Horror Movie Night exists.
Yeah, so it's like it's like for me it's like, oh man, this is awful. I can't wait for a bunch of people to come over. We're going to get some drinks, we're going to get some pizza, we're going to just have a good night, and we're going to watch these bad movies, and we're going to be talking over top of them, and we're going to be laughing the whole time, and everyone's gonna say yay Matt, and they're gonna pick me up on a chair and go hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, like it's a Jewish wedding, and I'm gonna have the greatest time of my life. And it's never quite achieved that.
No, it actually is infuriating. That's why I exclusively watch horror movies with Matt. I will only watch horror movies with Matt or trauma movies, because when Matt shows up to my parents' house and I'm there and we're watching like a very serious movie and it's a very serious scene that needs your full attention, he'll just go, oh, you know who that is? That's the guy from this and that. And then he like looks up and like in the middle of the movie he's like, so do you know how they made this movie? Because as soon as the movie starts, he's got a Wikipedia it. So he's
I can't even rebuttal because that's so accurate and true. Son of a bitch.
So I have to watch movies I don't care about with my brother.
Since it's April 21st, has anybody thought that the fog is actually the collective weed smoke from 420 rolling in?
Nothing
it was too blatant.
will kill you. 6 must toke.
Yeah, man. And they have to get the preacher to toke.
Disregard Tom Atkins for a second and just think about movies that Matt loves and how many times this trope occurs. And he's bitching about an intro quote and not people banging a couple hours after they just get thrown together, you know, and we've discussed them on the show. And Matt's been like, that's so unrealistic. I wish that happened to me.
just once.
Well, see, I say that about quotes being told to me before somebody goes into a story. I wish you would. I wish people would preface this.
Like
Kyle, I've got a great story to tell you, but first, let me tell you out of context when Dumbledore said to Harry Potter that no one's truly gone so long as they live within our memories. Anyway, so this is the story about the time I was boning this chick, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm so bound to my
themes.
Like every Console Crash EP has to have a theme, and the fog just hasn't come into the themes yet.
I got a proposal for you, Scott.
What should 6 be, Matt?
Guitarpenter.
Oh my God.
You know, Matt, you say a lot of dumb shit, but that was real good.
You mentioned Mulholland Drive. I'm going to go down a tangent that is like one of my favorite stories. So I was in high school. I was in a film class.
Ooh.
One of our assignments was to make a music video. I did an all claymation music video, which took fucking months to do.
Of course it does.
Obviously, when we're done the music video session, we all sit in class and we watch these music videos, right? One of the kids' music videos was a 9-minute long Tool song that he just filmed his TV as Mulholland Drive was on, and it was just like like highlights from Mulholland Drive, and then at one point he was like playing a video game, and like our teacher was like infamously short-tempered as a person. So there's a point about 5 minutes into this shit music video where like slowly all of the eyes of the class are like turning to look at the teacher to see like what is about to happen. Yeah. And he sees that everyone's looking at him and he just goes, "Oh, I know. But he made this, so we all have to suffer now."
And I'm going to say, I think Tool matches perfectly with that shit. that is a video they would be like, yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's just film the TV.
Tool has either great songs or just straight garbage, and there's like that's all they have,
I
so
feel like that's Maynard's MO in general, because I could say the same about Perfect Circle and all of his other projects.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, it's a 9-minute video of Mulholland Drive in a 11th grade English class. That's exactly how I would picture one of their videos.
First of all, I love that the aliens are framing this kid. So like, he's like, they're beating up the car. They must think it's because the car like killed their friend, and then they later
This guy
find
really
out
hates cans.
But then they find out that it's like, no, the aliens killed a dude, and we're like, shit, we gotta cover up the tracks. Let's make this kid's car look like it was a hit and run. I love the plot point of like, theoretically, yeah, you know what? Like, if aliens were coming and visiting Earth, having the ability to make any person who meets them seem like a drunk is a really good method of covering your tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Brian's sold on this.
No, I just agree. I just also think, that they choose who gets to see them, like rednecks.
Wait, like what? Like a redneck?
Yeah, like that's who they allow to see them, is people that would... unreliable narrators are the only people that seem to find aliens.
For some reason, I was like, is that some sort of conspiracy theory term? Or this is because it's coming from Brian. Or is that a cryptozoological creature that I don't know yet? But then I realized he's just talking about rednecks. I'm like, I know that cryptozoological creature. I grew up around about 20,000 of them.
Oh my God, we were out camping and we were making out, and then I remember seeing those big white eyes, black eyes, like a dog's eyes, and I remember him saying to me, "Go on, get."
It's so funny because Scott thought that a redneck was a cryptozoological creature. Man, I fucked up that one.
You sound like you just got poked by the saucer
They got
man.
me, Scott.
I watched your tongue trip.
Well, I'm not cutting this, but...
Chris, that was worth the money to watch his tongue actually roll over on itself.
So Scott thought that a redneck was some type of monster in cryptozoology, but actually they're just cryptozoologists. That's the joke that I was trying to get to.
I don't know if it would have
was
been
a
better if
good
you would
one.
have
It was
gotten
good when
to
the
it.
stupid tongue got in the way. Oh,
The
yeah.
only reason I'll never get in trouble is because I could never really get them down right. Like, I'd go to Hooters, I'd be like, "I'll have the chicken breast, hold the breast." And they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Just chicken fingers, please."
The best part is that everyone knows that this is Brian in his head trying to romanticize how awkward he is, when in reality he's so awkward that he goes, he if he even finds himself in a Hooters, he would look at the floor and be like, "Chicken fingers, please," and then that's it. And he wouldn't do anything else, and he'd drink his fucking water or Coke or whatever the hell.
I didn't finish it, but I still want to talk about it because it was so entertaining. We like threw on a flat Earth documentary, and it got
Why?
it got boring.
Why are you
it got
like
boring
this?
midway through, but like the best part was, so they had the science, like these guys that were like whatever, scientists, I guess, and they were convinced that they could prove, they're like, "We know that the Earth is flat," and like they did all this thing. We're like, "This is the proof," and they were like, "If only we can get our hands on this $20,000 laser, like it's never wrong. If we can get our hands on this $20,000 laser, it will prove that the Earth is not on a 15-degree axis." And then like that's our first step in disproving it, right? Someone loans them the money. They buy a $20,000 laser. They put it on the ground, and it shows a 15-degree axis. And then they start to try to figure out where this laser that they just typed up saying is never wrong could have went wrong. And it was so good.
That's called a sunk cost fallacy, listeners. Literally everything that the dudes wore in this, I wore in high school too.
Yes. It's all the exact same stuff I wore in high school. Puka
The
shell
only thing we
necklaces,
were missing,
all the stuff.
well, there were the puka shell necklaces. You know what was missing in this were those big ass metal bead necklaces. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those ball bearing necklaces.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you were really cool, you had a ball bearing necklace that was braided with hemp.
Oh, yeah, I know those ones.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
they
remember
didn't get
those.
those up in Canada yet. You know, they're a little bit further behind up there.
Yeah, but those hemp necklaces, when you would put them on, they'd be so itchy, right? And I remember my sister making them for me when she would go to camp or whatever in the summers, I guess is where she learned how to do it. But she made me a couple, and I wore them constantly. If there are pictures of me from high school, I am wearing a hemp necklace because I had to wear them every single day because the prescription for them was you put them on and you don't take them off until they're soft. Because like when you would shower and get them wet or get in the pool and stuff like that, the hemp fibers would become softer, and I never got there. I don't know if that's bullshit or not.
That's a weird selling point for an item of clothing. It's like, here, wear this uncomfortable thing until it's comfortable.
And then you can take it off. Yeah. The 90s were a very, very odd time. I was a budding Egyptologist for a couple years as a child, so I know far too much about embalming mummy.
Dude, same. I loved my mummy books. Like,
or like the DK. Did you have the DK book? Oh, so good. I had books about hieroglyphics, and I wanted to learn how to read them and write them, and like I knew all the gods, and I knew all their stories and epics. Like between Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology, I was obsessed.
Yeah, I one year in elementary school tried to write a play and cast all my friends as Greek gods and other characters, and they were like, "No, we're reading Harry Potter. Please leave us alone."
That's fantastic.
And then I tried to make a Harry Potter play, and still nobody was like wanting to be part of that at all. That was
just done it on the playground.
I don't know where. Well, that was all I wanted to do was do it have rehearsals on the playground and then do the show and have people read their lines. I was horrible.
So Kyle, I've got a much sadder version of that because I did the exact same thing as you're talking about.
Power
I
Rangers.
didn't have any friends, so I literally had toys that I directed. Like I took the toys to the corner and I was like, "Now your inspiration during this scene."
Absolutely.
All right, Race Stan's toy. Let's see how this goes. Like, that's why I fucking love these Netflix Christmas movies. Like they are fucking bonkers, and they're all Vanessa Hudgens. Like she just keeps getting tossed in there, but it's like
you made Kyle choke on his beer.
It's like the Princess Switch trilogy.
I know
is
there's a lot of them are
fucking
Vanessa
insane.
Hudgens, but they're not all Vanessa Hudgens.
They're almost all.
One was Brooke Shields.
So she's in. I've talked about this on the I Love Trash podcast because I've talked about the second and now the third Princess Switch film. The third Princess Switch film is a heist movie in which three of the people doing the heist are all Vanessa Hudgens. Like that's like where this movie gets to. And then there's also The Night Before Christmas, spelled with a K, in which a knight is forced forward in time to modern day and has to make a Christmas miracle happen to go back to medieval times, but he falls in love with Vanessa Hudgens and he's like, I don't want to go back to the time frame that I came from. But then they're like, it's a whole fucking multiverse.
He could just
I don't want to live
get
here
with her
anymore.
and then like bounce and no responsibilities.
No, he has true love.
He's a knight, Scott. There's a whole thing of
chivalry.
honor. God,
Yeah.
chivalry.
You're right. He wouldn't have even touched her. He would just pine for her from afar.
But the time frame that he's coming from is the same kingdom as the Princess Switch movies take place. And then there's the Christmas Prince trilogy. And in the first Princess Switch movie, the one character's like, here, let's sit down and watch your favorite movie. And they fucking log on to Netflix and start watching the Christmas Prince. And I'm like, what is happening?
This is like the Dark Tower of Christmas movies. This is Stephen King is
Netflix
so
has
pissed
built
off
their-
right now.
They've built their own multiverse of like this whole fucking MCU of Christmas movies over at Netflix.
Fucking hate that, and I love it at the same time.
You are so gonna watch all of them this December. Like
Oh my
it's
God.
happening.
I
made such a mistake bringing it up. I'm seeing Matt light up.
I'll tell you
and
what.
then talk
You and I will take a
Christmas.
ride together. We'll synchronize watches. I'll be like, hey,
God.
Horror movie night.
you want to watch Princess
Patreon
Switch tonight?
bonus.
And we'll just both watch it.
Dude. Oh my God, I need to know.
Big joke with my dad and I is like we would always do like puppet hands and like peck at each other and go like anytime we were bored. It's just something we do now. And so it's like, well, I have to pick this movie.
So, fun fact, now that you've brought up the sound of the piranha, do you know how the piranha's sounds were achieved?
It has to be pigeons, right?
No. They didn't go into extreme details, but on the commentary track, Joe Dante just keeps saying you're hearing the sound of a dentist drill in water.
Oh.
And it's been speculated if he means that they specifically took like dentist instruments and put them in the water, or if they had someone using them above the water while the audio was underneath the water to give it that like weird sound. But if you listen to it and think of it that way, it's like that is absolutely the sound of like a dentist drill.
I'm really sad it's not pigeons, because I always am like, it's like they used pigeon noises for fish. That was like my first big like, what the hell am I watching?
It is absolute terrible editing. So it's
most
not
of the
a
fish
great
attacks.
film.
Most of the fish attacks is just let's throw some red dye in this water and put a bubble machine underneath it. Like it's
I love it.
pecking.
It's so Evil Dead. And the pecking, because there are definitely birds.
Because they're
bird
they're
sounds.
pecking, and it's a pigeon sound. They are underwater pigeons killing people. I'm sticking to it.
Ask any zoologist and they'll tell you the piranha is the water's pigeon.
Yes. You're like, get away.
It's a sequel to The Deadly Spawn, which I picked 3-4 years ago, like a long time ago. Oh, Kyle, you didn't know?
No.
Watching Kyle's brain process that in real time after you said it was perfect.
What? That's so silly.
What's going
So
on?
here's the other thing. So this was 1990. Metamorphosis, The Alien Factor from 1990, and also in 1990 was a separate horror movie also called Metamorphosis that came out.
Yes.
So that made research extra difficult.
Whoa, hold on. Oh, shit.
Did
you watch the wrong Metamorphosis? So did you watch the one about the anti-aging serum that
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how about you tell us a little bit about your Metamorphosis?
Yeah,
because
That's
what
actually
happened in your
amazing.
version
Dude,
of Metamorphosis?
dude, you gotta fucking fire my ass. This sucks. Okay, no, this
There's
makes
no
a lot
way,
of
yeah.
sense. This makes a lot more sense. It's my reaction to the fact. Okay, so a quick rundown of my Metamorphosis. It's about a scientist who has been getting all this grant money for these experiments that he's done on monkeys, and there's not really there's not a lot of information about what experiment he is doing, other than he's not sharing his findings, and they keep giving him money, and they're like, you gotta tell us a little bit of what's going on. And instead he's like, okay, I'll get you something. And instead of doing the experiments on the monkeys that he's been killing, he does the experiment upon himself.
Wait, did you watch Monkey Shines?
Well, the other scary part is that he's sort of kind of still explaining the plot of Metamorphosis.
Did
the
you?
Alien Factor
Well,
to a certain
it is
extent.
Metamorphosis. It's just
Yeah.
not colon the Alien Factor.
Alien
I know,
Factor.
I'm right.
There is
It's
no
just the
alien
wrong.
factor to be had.
There's
here.
there's a 0% alien factor in this movie. There's not even an alien variable. There's nothing. There's nothing. This is pure science. This is fact. And what happens is he does this, and then he starts to black out, and he's attacking women. But then it's women that he knows. So then he doesn't kill them. He either it's sort of alluded to a sexual assault, beating them up, and then when they see him again, they're like, "Stay away from me!" And he's like, "No, I'm trying to figure out what's going on." But he's just a real douchey from the jump, a real douchey college professor scientist, right? I can't believe I watched the wrong movie.
And I love the idea that you're watching that movie and thinking, why would Scott pick this?
I've decided that I'm gonna go with the psychological thrillers. Sorry, everybody.
Fucking, I don't know. And so, and my beer matches that movie and not this movie.
Oh no, that
It's
is
just
the
really
saddest
real
part
quick.
about
What's
this.
the beer? What's the beer?
Well, so it's going to be crazy because this movie is really fucking boring.
I mean, not that our alien factor was super interesting either, but
yeah, the alien factor didn't factor in too much more
oh,
fun
starts
to the
Matt,
Metamorphosis.
come on.
So what happens is he ends up, the serum takes a toll on him. He's sort of it looks like he ages really quickly. He starts to get gooey and goopy and looking old.
Well, so there
but,
is goopiness in this movie too.
Yeah,
so I guess it's
and
not
then,
that different.
So I just assume that he's going to sort of fade away into he's just overdosed himself on his serum and is going to just fucking be debilitated or whatever. And then at the end of it, they're trying to find him who is doing the assaulting or who has been killing people. And by the end of it, the police show up, they bust in the door, and he's this goopy dinosaur? He's a lizard
He's a lizard.
Did you watch Fly 2? Because like I really feel like there are a million movies that you could have watched and none of them were the right movie, but none of them are really the wrong movie either. Which is
I'm in the same vein.
Like, it sounds close enough that it wouldn't be crazy for Metamorphosis that you watch to be the double feature for the Metamorphosis that we watch.
Well,
like,
Deadly Spawn was my... Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't. That wasn't my double feature.
There's enough of a Venn diagram overlay on those two movies.
And, you know, they blow this dinosaur Barney monster, Gooey Barney, to smithereens, and then the movie ends with the woman who I don't remember their connection, and her son, and then, like... he has a pet lizard and she looks over and is like, oh no, and it does like that like freeze frame, like he's somehow like the lizard.
What year was yours?
It was 1990.
It's the exact same year. No, it's so Kyle, the version that we watched of Metamorphosis involves
I'm so embarrassed.
I love that it's like embarrassment is what you feel. Like it's just you take this shit way more seriously than Brian does.
I'll be back in 2 hours. Just let me go watch this movie.
Scott, you already hinted at it, but let's talk about that Kindred 4K that you got.
Well, I mean, so I've only watched the movie. I haven't watched any of the special features, and I don't have a CD player, so I can't listen to the soundtrack.
Do you want to borrow my 2011 Nissan Sentra to listen to it?
Wild Things in the first 10 minutes has a moment where no one's questioning that Matt Dillon, the guidance counselor, is driving multiple students home from school, which is like red flag central. But they all hop in his car, and to make sure that the movie is properly dated, they jump into his car to the sounds of Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life, and by the time he's dropping the kids off, it's the Smash Mouth cover of Why Can't We Be Friends? And I'm like, I am so into this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, oh my god, I might watch that shit tonight. I might convince my wife and my best friend that we're gonna watch that shit right now. That's so funny. And my son Hunter.
But Hunter's like put the eyes over Hunter's cover Hunter's eyes for the
no,
movie.
He stretches them open like it's Clockwork Orange.
You're gonna learn.
Scott, you brought up The Howling, which I think is worth comparing because I think they're both movies that came out at almost the exact same time that both had some really crazy transformation scenes. But I think the anguish in his transformation scene, like, I don't think anyone's come close to like capturing how much he seems to make it seem like it hurts to have your body morph into a wolf.
Especially like 0 to 100. Like he's just reading a book and just like, ah!
I mean, a bit of an overactor in that section. In my
opinion. that is literally, that scene is me when I'm asleep and I move my leg and give myself a Charlie horse. Like that's me at 3 a.m. giving myself a Charlie horse.
God, I'm burning
I haven't had one in years, but man, when you have a Charlie horse in the middle of the night
and you're just fucking flopping, thinking it's doing something.
I have never leaped out of a bed quicker than when I get a Charlie horse in the middle of the night. And then I'm just walking around like Family Guy, just going like,
oh, you do that? I thought everyone made the same noise. It's just, ooh, ooh.
No, that's your sex sound, dude.
That's all my sounds, dude.
Here's a story I've never told on the air. One time there was this girl that I had met on a dating site, and she was over my house, and things were going pretty good, we'll say, and we were making out. And she started making her way downwards where there may have been it may have been not quite a Costco, but maybe a different place where you can go and buy a lot of overstocked food and whatnot.
Oh.
But right as she got to about my belly button, I got a Charlie horse and pushed her off me and started walking around the room going, and then she excused herself and I never saw her.
I think it's important to explain this story is that Matt was kissing a girl. Basically what he just said is Matt was kissing a girl and then she was making her way downtown. And then he was walking fast as faces passed and he was homebound.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. It's one of the most embarrassing things.
And Brian made it better. You're welcome.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm glad I finally told that. That's been sitting in my heart for years.
But yeah, no, I'll never forget the awkwardness of nakedly wandering around my room in front of someone trying to calm down a Charlie horse in my cab.
Easy, Nelly. Easy.
When he's outside the school, the best part about that is when he shows up and he gets stopped by this like security guard, right? Who's like, you can't ride your bike and you're gonna be late. He's like, here's some titties, here's some porn.
How
and the guy's
does that
like,
work?
Works for me.
That didn't make sense to me. Like, I would understand if it was like, I don't know, an 8-year-old that was a security guard for some reason. It's like, hey, I have a nudie magazine that I can give you. But like, is that the only way that a 60-year-old man can get his hands on a porno?
I honestly feel like...
Well, he's not going in the woods and finding them inside tree stumps anymore. So
oh, dude.
that's the only place you find
perfect
pornos
timing.
is in the woods.
No. There are two places you find pornos. In the 80s and early 90s. Kids today, they don't fucking get it. The best part about finding porn was how creepy and sketch it was, and you didn't care because you just want to see boobs.
You just had to force yourself to believe it was hot.
You guys ever get your hands on a Penthouse as a child?
Dude, okay,
because that's
what I
scarring.
wanted. That was where this story was going. Actually, was so the first like nudie mags I ever saw were Playboys, right? And Playboy is so sterile and very glamorous, and like honestly, like I didn't know what a vagina looked like. There was a truck stop that was in our small town. We had fucking 2 lights, all right? Like we were a very small town. Behind the truck stop, gas station, whatever, was a large car wash. And the car wash was like one of those do-it-yourselfers with like those long-ass spray guns, right? But there was one that was extra tall for trucks, you know, like for semis. And so somebody must have gotten tired of like this package. I'm talking 8 to 12 inches thick of Playboys. And he packed them up in a black plastic bag, like a trash bag, and dumped them in the trash can right behind that car wash. And for some reason, somehow, one of my friends found it. I don't know. Why were they digging through the trash? Were they like, oh, that's porn. I know it's porn. They grabbed it. And then the best thing about finding nudie mags in the 90s was they didn't stay intact. Literally, you'd sit down with your friends and rip it apart. You would share the nudes. Queen never wrote this song, but they should have written a whole record called Nudes of the World. Is this what AA is like? She goes, there's something you should know. I have a drinking problem. To the doctor. The doctor's like, there's nothing wrong with your son. And she's like, yes, there is. I'm an alcoholic.
Listen, there's so much in this movie that I have experienced with that doesn't make sense. For starters, my friends are without a doubt the meanest people I've ever met. Like, we are...
Oh, they're
ruthless.
shitbags.
My friends are so mean, and we've never brought up one of our parents' alcoholism. Second of all, I feel like this writer is really writing his truth in this movie, and he's experiencing it. So I think it's important to address that. If you're an alcoholic and you have a child, please get sober, because if you don't, they will make a movie like this, and we cannot have another movie like this.
The part where I thought that I may have been psychic and had opened up my third eye is when I'm watching a movie from 2006 and a girl starts walking up to a jukebox and I'm like, what's she gonna put on, like Joan Jett or some shit? And then all of a sudden I Love Rock and Roll starts playing and I'm like, that's the best you can do for a 2006 bar scene is a song from 1977.
The music they can afford to license always tells you how the movie is going. Always, without fail. Like, I just watched Finch, the Apple TV where Tom Hanks adopts a robot. And there was so much cheap, affordable music in that. It was very strange.
Thinking back on this movie, where did the budget go? I know for a fact that first scene on the beach, they had 200 extras that did it for free. They weren't paying extras. Tell you what, they weren't paying for the special effects because they look like garbage. They weren't paying any actors because none of these actors were that well known at the time, right? Like
Taylor Kitsch honestly might have been their biggest get coming off of Friday Night Lights, right?
Yeah, that's probably
I mean, he was top billed and he's the protagonist, I guess. So where did the money go if they couldn't spend it on anything except I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett?
Well, would you like to know what the budget is? Because I have it pulled up.
I
looked
wrote
it up,
We
too.
all
Okay.
wrote down how bad this budget is, but actually, you take the lead.
20 million. I could make 5 of these movies for $20 million dollars with honestly a better script.
For comparison, I just decided to do this real quick. They could have made 2015's The Witch 5 times for the budget that
I was
they put into
literally
this movie.
just looking up how much they spent on The Witch because that is like a perfect movie. No one in it is a soup. It's the thing that makes Anya Taylor-Joy a star, and it actually has like something interesting to say about witches. So
I love The Witch, and I was reading an article about how much the director and the dad hated the goat because Black Phillip was the unintentional star of the movie, and Robert Eggers hates it.
well, goats are assholes. So
Yeah, but also he was either sleeping or being insane, and he broke the dad's ribs in one scene, and they were gonna in the fight scene they were going to have an animatronic version of Black Phillip to make it like easier on the actor, and the animatronic didn't work. They did like 2 or 3 different sizes, none of them looked right, and so he just had to fight Black Phillip for real. He broke his ribs.
I also love the idea that the director of The Witch was like, this fucking goat. I'm not working with goats anymore. For my next movie, I'm going to work with 300 seagulls instead.
Yep.
Far more manageable, I guess.
I mean, more shit, less attitude, right?
Like, if you look at the poster, he is one of
Yeah.
the 6 names
Yeah.
on the poster. He's in the movie for 2 minutes. He was a last-second addition to the movie. They actually originally wanted the actor who played Otho in Beetlejuice to play that role, and he couldn't do it because he was making Dunstan Checks Out, which
Checks in. Show that movie some respect.
And I was like, that's got to be like Michael Caine not being able to collect his Oscar because he was on the set of Jaws the Revenge. Like, it's like, I'm sure even if you don't like this movie, Scott, it's got to be insulting to not be in this movie because you're busy making The Monkey Loose in the Hotel with Jason Alexander movie.
You're saying that in a condescending tone, but even you saying that, it sounds like a good movie. Like, I don't understand.
So I was in the shower, as I am wont to do. Longtime listeners know this is where I think about Matt the most.
It's where I think about Matt the most.
So I was in the shower, and I was like, Matt can't fucking say escapes. He can't say escapes. And I was meaning to text you, like, text me phonetically how you say escapes. And I was like in the kitchen doing dishes like 6 hours later, like, what fucking word was I going to make fun of Matt for saying wrong? It's escapes, and then also the demon. He can't say either of those because he's from Philly. It's a Philly thing.
Well, I don't know what you're
Brian
talking
does
about.
it too.
Anyway, you guys gonna go see the Batman when it comes out in a couple weeks?
Is it also a regional thing to pluralize things that aren't plural, as we've talked about before? That
does. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about where I come from. This is
Draculas?
my favorite Philly story.
Dracula's, Stop and Shops.
This is my favorite Philly
Walmarts.
story, but it really encapsulates the best and worst of this town. So we have a word that we throw around that is Jawn. Jawn.
It means anything and nothing,
Yeah,
right?
Jawn is everything and anything. It's just like, hey, get me that Jawn, right? About 5 years ago, there was a dude who was fucking unhinged, right? Bad situation, had a gun, was like locked up in an apartment having a shootout with the police. About 2 minutes after that was reported, John Wick was trending on Twitter for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, have you ever seen a Ladder Life Insurance ad? This was a first for me.
I don't think I have.
Okay, so their tagline, life insurance so good they're gonna want you dead. Fucking what? And then
What?
and then they don't even let that I let that beat hit. They don't let the beat hit. Then, like, a half second goes by, and they're like, "Yeah, but seriously, killing a policyholder will void all life insurance benefits." Like, they have to. Somebody
Don't do the joke and then not commit to the joke.
Yeah,
let it.
put it in do the life insurance thing where it's like, blah, 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 like where it's like
Right.
just for the lawsuits that you could get, not like, hey, idiots. Don't kill your family for money.
Also, weirdly, because I'm so dumb, when you kept saying ladder life insurance, I thought you literally meant a life insurance policy exclusively for ladder-related deaths.
Well, I mean, it's called Ladder, LADDER, ER. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
I'm assuming that that's what they started out as. It's
Must
the
have been
fucking
must have been their first policy.
yeah. It's the old west, and they're
Their
like,
flagship
"Whoa,
policy."
hey, little son, like, what are you gonna die from out here?
Yeah.
It could be snakes, it could be
a horse
shootouts,
running
and it
through,
could be ladders.
You saying it in that dialect makes that tagline make so much more sense.
Oh yeah, please give us the tagline in that dialect, please.
Life insurance so good they're gonna want you dead.
Yep,
But seriously,
perfect.
don't killing a policyholder will avoid all life insurance benefits. Yeah, like fucking finger guns.
The feet on the wall is like one of the things that I have remembered about this movie from the very first time I watched it. Because honestly, the way that I watched the Critters movies for years before I actually like bought them was that they played on Sci-Fi Network constantly, and there'd be like Critters Week, where it'd be a different Critters movie every night.
But they're only 4.
They're not gonna waste a Friday slot on a Critters movie.
Wait, no,
kidding me?
it's sci-fi. They're gonna waste the slot on anything. All right.
Well, we certainly can't interrupt the fucking Friday night Twilight Zone marathon, so the movies have got to be 4-parters Monday through Thursday. Here, I'll show this to you guys because this blew my mind, and this has nothing to do with the movie Critters 4 per se, but I don't know if we want to say give an applause or what, but the wiki plot summary is 15 paragraphs long.
For Critters
of
4?
plot summary for Critters 4.
Why did I
Like,
even watch the movie then?
Why did we do this? What was the point? How long?
I can
how long is
read
the
that
Critters?
in less time than it takes to.
Yeah. Do you think all the Critters Critters movies plot?
Let me see. Let me see if let me check. Let me check to see if.
Well, while
Critters,
Matt does
Critters
that, I gotta tell you guys
3.
that Critters 3 and Critters 4 were filmed simultaneously, which is kind of mind blowing and hilarious.
No shit.
Critters 3 was 1 paragraph.
And that's the one with Leo Dico? Come on.
Critters 2, 3 paragraphs. So I was like, Critters 4 may have taken more paragraphs than all 3 of these films combined.
That's bizarre.
Let's see, and
Do you
and
really?
5 paragraphs for Critters, the original. So yeah, someone wrote 15 paragraphs on Critters 4, while Critters 1 through 3 could be summarized in
That's 8.
8 or 9 paragraphs.
Yeah. 5, 1, 3.
That's fucked up.
Justice for Critters 2. New hashtag that we're
That
gonna.
has to be. That can only be explained by somebody who is similar to me, but not me. Who's like,
Sure, Matt.
loves Critters 4, has been so sick of people shitting on Critters 4 that they're like, God damn it, this movie's a masterpiece, and I'm going to make sure that the plot outline on Wiki is so detailed that nobody could point any flaws in this premise.
Is that why you showed us, Matt? Are you just really
I put
proud?
a lot of work into this page, guys. No, I only know that it was 15 paragraphs because, I used it a couple times to keep track of what was happening.
Salvage the evening a little
With
bit.
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
I have the novelization in Horror Finds.
Oh, hey, everybody, go check out Horror Finds in Etsy, and you can buy the novelization of Virus.
Virus?
Yeah. Don't all purchase it at once.
Yeah, I only have the one copy.
Yeah, first come, first serve situation.
I upcharge. Use the coupon code HMN Podcast and you'll get charged $10 extra.
I know that Scott would not say this to Kyle, so I'm putting it out in the airwaves. Kyle, if you need access to my list, I'll gladly give it to you. A lot of good.
Truly, if you put Brian Kelly and Kyle Cookta in a room together, the only differential between the two of them is their movie picks.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And by the time I come back, maybe I won't be able to use a lot of my picks, Scott. Like when I first came on the show, and I was like, you know what? I'm new, so I'm going to hold off on Andre the Butcher. And then a lot of interesting news articles came out about Ron Jeremy, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to pick this one.
Is what I'm hearing you say right now is, Scott, please go through my list and trim it down to stuff that you want to watch, because that's what I'm.
We all know. We've been waiting on when Brian finally returns. We'll actually do the 8-legged
I
freaks
know.
episode.
Actually, we should have ended on that because I didn't need to
I
watch
promise.
that. I've watched that a lot.
Well, I wanted an analog for Eight-legged freaks, and so I went with Ravenous.
That's our character on the street to get Brian back as eight-legged freaks.
Because they'll be like,
But
hey,
you're
we
gonna
need
have to
you
watch
back.
it.
Yeah, they'll be like, we need you back to the show, and I'm just smoking a cigarette with my cowboy hat, like, I don't do podcasts anymore. It's Eight-Legged Freaks.
We're like,
Haven't heard that name in years.
We were talking about this, and I almost spilled the beans on this, and then Scott correctly was like, no, let Brian retell the story. Some of you who maybe haven't listened to every single episode of Horror Movie Night, you know that when it comes to the 50th episode, it's usually something that's tied to, like, classic horror movie moments or references. So, like, when Brian was doing 6 Degrees of Beetlejuice, by the time we got to episode 200, we finally just did Beetlejuice. You are what I would say the biggest piece of why we finally landed on doing The Lost Boys for episode 350, and it stems from your very first "What did I watch this week?" during your first episode as a full-time third host.
Do you remember what
Yeah.
the episode was, Brian? Because I do.
I don't.
Well, it was Bugged.
Bugged. Oh, bugged. Bugged. All right, I will begrudgingly tell this story. I didn't want to tell this story because Kyle has a new short coming out, and I don't want him to feel incompetent as a filmmaker when I tell him my wife's vision for film.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate. Thank you for the trigger warning.
Yes,
I will
yes.
hold. I'll hold on.
You should still
for
chase
life.
your dreams. This will make you feel like, what's the point? But, some people are naturals. So we watched it, and you know how the intro, right? I vaguely remember that. I didn't watch the movie, I got to admit. But
So it's like any other episode of Horror Movie Night that Brian's on.
the security guard, right? And then it's like a POV shot of the camera flying at him, which leads the audience to believe that it's a vampire flying at him. And I was watching it with my not knowing she was going to be my wife one day, and she goes, "See, if I made this movie, I would do things a little differently." And I said, "Oh, would you?" And I said, "Yeah, I would do that exact shot the same way it was." And then later on in the movie, the security guard comes back up, and the audience is like, "I thought he died. I thought he got killed." And then it turns out that the camera was a bee.
So, Kyle, are you done submitting your film to film festivals?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk movies.
I'm just assuming that Brian's connection is going to fail before we even get to talking about the movie. So our friend Cody messages us on our Instagram and goes, "Hey guys, just had some bad stuff happening, and I want to let you know that you're a constant source of positivity in my life during this difficult time, and I really appreciate you guys. Except I'm having a hard time forgiving you for your April's Fool's Day episode." And Matt promptly writes back, before I can even get on Instagram and read the fucking thing, Matt immediately responds back, "I'm so glad that we could be a help in this time of need. Thanks, Gelsey, Chris, and Dylan." And it was just... I want everybody to know that I wasn't going to give Matt the double satisfaction of telling the story about his own joke that he's so fucking proud of, because Matt does need to be reined in every once in a while. We have to put the muzzle on Matt Kelly sometimes. If you listened to our episode 350 Patreon bonus, Matt mentioned that he had to stop himself from starting another podcast.
What are you trying to prove?
That's...
The guy, like, God is up there, and he's just like, I gave this guy the cock the size of a baby's leg. And it's not enough.
Oh, Brian literally took 8 months off for that, to bring us back to that.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we got to talk about, I guess, the big closing line. There's one thing I always hated about living in Santa Carlo or Santa whatever, all the
Santa
goddamn
Carlo.
vampires. Yeah. It's a good line.
You nailed it perfect.
I was pretty shocked that...
We all know, I think I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that, famous line that's embedded in all of our minds. I don't like this town. What was it? This town is would be good if there wasn't. You know what I'm saying? The famous line we all know by heart.
Yeah,
Matt could have glossed over it and edited it out, but now he can't.
Yeah, I haven't had a full night's sleep in quite a few days. I'm a little out of it. Look like a raccoon. I woke up. Sorry. Having flashbacks. I woke up at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning with my ear itchy. And I have really bad anxiety, so like I feel bugs crawling on me often. Like when I'm going to bed, like I feel like bugs crawling on me that aren't there. So like I wrote it off to that, and then it was like, wow, this is like really tickling and itchy. And like I like went in and I did the biggest mistake because I was in a daze, and I like took a Q-tip and I put a Q-tip in my ear, and then it just was like literally my eyeball was twitching, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I'm like, I think I have a bug in my ear. Jade comes upstairs and she's like, what's going on? Because she couldn't sleep, so she went downstairs. And for whatever reason, like I was in a fucking Lifetime drama. This is not made up. She's like, what's going on? And I was like, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So I'm like, okay, there's a bug in my ear maybe. So I like get a syringe. I'm like looking for a syringe, and I'm like shooting warm water in my ear, and it calmed it down. Like the moving stopped. So I was like, oh, whatever that was weird. So then I get up, and then it started again, this tickling thing. I'm like looking, I'm like reading, and every article is like, it's very rare that you have a bug in your ear. It's probably like this type of ear infection, this type of anxiety. Like it's very difficult for a bug to get in your ear. But if there is a bug in your ear, try to wash it out with warm water. And if it's still alive, you have to try olive oil. So I went downstairs with a syringe. I pulled up some olive oil, and I shot it in my ear, and then it felt like something was having a seizure in my brain to the point that I just dropped on the floor in agony.
Oh my God.
Like screaming. And then it just stopped. It just stopped, and I felt pressure in my ear, and I like just laid on the couch with my ear open like this, hoping that something was just going to like slide out. I go to an ENT. He like looks in my ear, and he's like, all right, we're going to get this thing out. And he like has like this, they're called alligator claws. And he pulls out like 2 legs. He's like, oh, we're going to have to suck it out. This may hurt a little bit.
Oh my God.
My hand was like glued to the wall, and I've never had my knee so straight. My leg was straight up as it was sucking, and I was just convulsing. And then he was like, oh, hold on. So he's like, okay, that hurts. Let's get some water. And they just blast water. Same thing, like huge. So just huge pain. And then he's like, okay, we got it. I was like, what was it? He's like, do you want to know? I was like, yeah. He's like, it was a cockroach. And he showed me it. And I have a picture of it, which I can send you guys if you want. Matt had already seen it. And then I'm like, okay, the worst is over. And he's like, so instead of putting you on antibiotics, I'm going to put this like sanitizer in your ear. It'll just kill any germs. It won't hurt. He poured acid into my skull.
Oh my God.
And my ear still hurts. I waited like a few days to use a Q-tip because I did after the first day. And Jade was like, dude, you have no earwax in your ear. Like, don't clean your ears out. And then today I did it after the shower, and it's like dried blood. So I don't know. I may have some damage. But yeah, I haven't slept. I have what happens every night is I have these like mold type earplugs that I put in my ear. And then I fall asleep, and I'm conscious enough in my sleep to take them out of my ear and put them on my bedside, like in that daze. And then I fall asleep, and then I wake up an hour later, realize they're not in my ear, full on panic, and like jam the back of my ear. So I haven't slept for more than like an hour each night consistently.
Yep.
Like I probably sleep for like 4 hours a night, but it just hour increments up for a little bit, then an hour. So it sucked. It's been really
Holy
bad.
Shit, dude.
But I got to edit a podcast, which I never had time for. But when you don't sleep.
That's how he was able to rewatch Killer Clowns this week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that jolly note, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more horror movie nights.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.